August 11th, 2021, Building Code Board of Appeals meeting. First one will be roll call. Kathy?
Mr. Abathera.
Here.
Ms. Brooks. Here. Mr. DeZerman.
Here.
Mr. Friesen. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Quorum present.
Our next one is we're going to amend the agenda to remove item number 2, the suspension of Building Code Board of Appeals bylaws. And we are going to move the variance request of Sasi Gonawari to the 3rd position. And we are going to postpone the variance request of Michael Booker and Lynette Booker at 2026 Blue Spruce to the next meeting. Do I have anybody second that?
I will second that.
Or no? You have to, I'm sorry.
I'm questioning whether you're postponing number 2 because I
Yeah.
didn't hear that in our discussion.
Yes, we're postponing number 2
To the next meeting?
to the next meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, do I?
Was
I'm
it-
sorry, I will, I move to,
Is it because the applicant's not present?
We don't have a full quorum.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and she asked that she wanted to be postponed.
Yeah, she
Thank
would like
you.
to have a full quorum when we come.
I'll move to second that.
You said- Kathy, did I do the first one? I put the motion forward? You second it?
Ready for roll call?
Vote yes.
Ms. Brooks. Yes.
Yes.
Mr. DeZerman.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Abathera.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next one will be the approval of the minutes of the July 7th, 2021 meeting. Anybody?
Move to approve?
I'll second. Kathy?
Mr. DeZerman.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Abathera.
Yes.
Ms. Brooks.
Can I abstain? I wasn't present.
You can abstain or you can say yes or no.
Abstain.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay, our first case will be then the variance request of John and Laura Newman at 5970 Sussex. Salim, could you tell us a little bit about it real quick?
Yes, this property is a double front corner lot per the City of Troy zoning ordinance. It is in the R1A use district. As such, per Chapter 83 of the City of Troy Code, it has 40 feet required front setback along the Sussex Drive in the Ireland Way. The petitioner is requesting a variance to install 119 feet of the 6 feet tall vinyl obscuring fence that will encroach into the Ireland 40 feet setback, as well as a variance for 40 feet, 4 feet tall of the aluminum non-obscuring fence that will encroach into the Ireland side, 40 feet setback as well. The total fence to be permitted by the building department will be 308 feet of the 6 feet tall vinyl obscuring fence and 89 feet of the 4 feet aluminum non-obscuring fence per Chapter 83.
All right. Does you have any questions for Salim right now first? Salim, is it up on the?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
moving it at the back. So. There you go.
Okay. The question I have for you first, Salim, is the fence is going all the way out to the property line then?
Well, it's going to be a foot away from the property line.
A foot away? Okay. Along Ireland?
Along Ireland Way. Yep, so if you look at that sketch, the green line is a 6 feet PVC obscuring fence,
Okay.
which is encroaching into the Ireland Way, and then it goes back around into the back of the property. Then they have where the red line is, it's the 4 foot aluminum non-obscuring fence.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Salim before I bring the petitioner up? No? Is the petitioner present? Would you like to come up and tell us why you need this fence?
Hello, I'm
I'm Laura Newman. This is my husband John and our daughter Avery. We are the residents of 5970 Sussex. We moved into our home in February of this year, and we completed a land survey to assist with the installation of our fence and to understand our exact property lines. We are requiring a fence at our property for the safety of our child, who is 3 months right now, but will be growing quickly, as well as we have a dog who we do not want to escape our yard, and we would like to be off leash. Additionally, we are hoping to maximize the privacy of our backyard. We can see I-75 from our backyard, as well as hear it. There's not a sound wall at our location of I-75. Additionally, along Arland Way, it's a popular biking and running route, which is good for being active, not so good for enjoying our backyard, and our dog is very reactive to the traffic on that road, which is why we are hoping to put in an obscuring fence along that side. The reason that we require a variance to the ordinance is due to the unique shape of our double front corner lot. The majority of our lot is on the side. It's not in the back. It's actually on the side of our yard. So if we go with the how the ordinance is written, it would significantly reduce the usable fenced area of our the back and side yard. Additionally, we have a shed located in that side yard property. It's approximately 10 feet from the property line. So if we go 40 feet from the property line, our shed would be outside the fenced area. We are hoping to have it inside our fenced area. So we are requesting to build our fence at the property line or within a foot of it. And lastly, I did want to point out that our property line is already approximately 50 feet from Arland Way, and the ordinance would require the additional 40. So the ordinance ends up having our fence, the allowable fence to be approximately 90 feet from the street. So for those reasons, we would like to request this variance.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the petitioner? I have one quick question for you. You say your shed is how far off your lot line? I was trying to...
Approximately 10 feet. There, it is on the survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
This was filed with the county as well.
Yeah. Salim, was there ever a permit for the shed, you think?
I didn't see one, no.
Okay. Because to put a shed in, you'd be required to be 40 feet off, right?
Yeah, what happens is that we have some sheds that were installed many years ago, so there's no permits. And so what we do is we just go by the rules. When we have either a new active permit, or in this case, a variance, then we can activate a zoning ordinance on it.
Okay.
This is not a new shed either. We actually had just performed some
No, I
repairs
understand,
on it.
yeah. Okay. Any questions for them? Yes.
I do not have a question for the petitioner in general. I have a question for Salim. For some reason, this property seems familiar to me. Was this similar property or this exact property brought up to us previously?
What happened was we had a case for a fence for this property, and then the person sold, so that got canceled. You guys did get it, I think, on an agenda, and it was postponed or canceled. That's why you remember it. It's a different owner.
Memory's still there. Thank you.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. Salim, is there any letters, any neighbors?
We have,
Do we have any?
probably comment, 1 second. It's not on the agenda package, so no, there isn't.
Sorry, Gary, I have one other question for the petitioner.
Yes.
Can I just confirm, what is the material that you are proposing to use for the fence for this?
We're looking at tan PVC.
Okay.
along the Arlen Way.
Right.
So on the side that we're particularly discussing, that would be a vinyl.
A vinyl
The-
fencing?
Yeah, the front is,
Like wrought aluminum, black wrought aluminum.
Okay, thanks.
Salim, I'm sorry, but did you say there was a letter from a neighbor or no letter?
No, I didn't, there's nothing in the
Nothing in the
packet.
packet, okay. All right. Salim, I have one more question for you for the pictures you took. The split rail fence is out at the lot line, correct, on Sussex?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
The pictures you took, the split rail fence,
Yeah, so let me
That's
show
on
you.
Sussex,
Correct,
right?
yes.
and that's totally required, allowed, no issues, right?
Yeah, that,
Okay.
well, it's been there for a long time. I mean, we could require to have it removed, but, a lot of times when these things are there and there's really, it's not an obstruction for the visual.
Okay.
Question again, so is that split rail fence staying as part of this permit? I mean,
It's not part of our request. I mean, it was there when we moved in.
so it's not part of the request, you're not removing it as part of this project or anything at this point? It's just a question,
We've been doing so much on our house, we haven't gotten to the things we haven't even thought about yet, so one of the things might be, I mean.
It will likely get removed,
It needs
but probably not
repairs anyway.
immediately.
There's
I mean,
some slats broken, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to mention that on the other side, you have a wire fence, so that would need to be removed.
And that's one thing that I do want to do because that one's really falling down.
It's on the picture.
It's probably been there for a couple of decades.
thank you.
All right. If there's any more questions for the petitioner, I'll let them sit down unless someone has any. You guys, then we'll talk among ourselves. Is there, Celine, when you were there, was there neighbors across the street on Arlen? that would
I
look
mean,
at
I
the
have some
fence?
pictures. They're kind of far away, so the street is short, it's narrow,
Yeah.
but the houses are set back far. Let me see if I got some pictures of that. I did take some pictures, I think.
All right.
You can see some of it here on the left-hand side, but let me see if I got a better one. Well, you can see it right here on this picture, where that fence ends.
Yep.
The house sits back maybe another 50 feet or so.
Okay.
Is that I'm sorry, Salim, is that the intersection then, that picture you were looking at?
Yes, let me show it to you. 1 second. That's the intersection right here. So this is what you guys were looking for.
Oh, yeah.
Celine, is this considered a double back, a back-to-back situation, or is this
This
side to
is
side?
back to side.
Back to side? Okay. Because the next house behind them is facing,
Yeah, it's a
Ireland?
different.
Okay.
Yeah.
if they couldn't do a 6-foot privacy fence, what could they do out to the lot line? Could they do a 4-foot?
No, no, because it's not a back-to-back.
Okay,
So it would be 2.5 feet
okay.
obscuring fence.
What could they do non-obscure,
Well, when it's 2.5, it can be obscuring. When it's 4 feet, it's not obscuring.
okay, could they do 4-foot non-obscuring?
No, it wouldn't need your approval.
They need it, okay. Could you pull it up on the screen, Celine? The plat map, I guess, like that right there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make it, just so we can see Ireland and,
Oh, you mean the Jeep? Yeah, let me
Yeah.
see.
Sorry, Gary, I had one more question for the petitioner. Along that Arlington Way, I see a lot of greenway or trees and so forth along that. Is that something that you're going to have to remove a lot of that for this fence installation? Is that part of that, or?
We don't want to take down, there's a fair amount of trees, some of them are mature.
Right.
I don't want to take any of them down.
Okay,
I want to keep all the integrity.
okay. So your intention is to set it on the inside of that as much as possible?
Well, and I think they had mentioned a 50-foot, I mean, it's like a 100-foot road right away on that. They have 50 feet. And then the requirement's pushing them in that 40, so there's a lot of tree
There's a lot of,
that's in the right of way.
yeah.
It don't like that much.
What was that?
Oh, there it is.
Here you go, Gary.
I mean, there's a lot of mature trees on the lot, but there's a
That's
lot.
hard to see, yeah.
You want me to go closer?
No, that's good.
Yeah, so this is the side, and this is the back.
Right, so it's side to back there. I see what you're saying, there's a lot of them from the,
And that's non-residential to the west, too.
right,
So across the street is multifamily.
yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts here?
Here, I want to show you too the distance to the houses across the street, right here.
Okay.
It's 154 to the lot line.
Okay. Well. Nothing is easy on this one, guys. I mean, our ordinances are to not, I can kind of see their point, but I can see both ways. Do you want to put a motion or Mark?
I have a question of the petitioner, if possible. Can you re-explain the purpose of each of the fences?
You
mind
coming back up to the microphone?
I mean, I understand the 6-foot PVC is to block out, but the 4-foot aluminum fence is for what purpose?
We
So,
want to completely fence in our yard so we can have our dog off leash.
yeah, so the front-facing fence portion, we did not want to be obstructing to make it look a little nicer. So we are hoping to do the wrought aluminum, non-obscuring, just because we thought that it looked nicer. So that would be the front-facing fence. And then the sides of our home and the back would be obscuring. And that's the taller ones for privacy and security.
Okay. Mark, is that-
Yeah.
Salim, I have a question about that too, is from their garage to the 40-foot lot line, they can put the obscure fence in there, right?
From the garage to the lot line,
To the
there will be
orange-
the
no.
4-foot non-obscuring aluminum fence.
To the orange line that you have there.
Yeah, so the red line is the aluminum, 4-foot aluminum non-obscuring.
And then they could do a 6-foot fence along the orange.
So from that point on the Arlen Way,
you know,
it's going to go 6 feet
Okay.
PVC.
They can do all that without our approval. They're just looking for 40 feet beyond.
Correct,
closer to our line.
yes.
All right. You see what they're saying? 40 and then over, back in.
I have a question where you're pointing out on those lines there. Do you see there's like a double yellow? What am I seeing? Like a
What
thinner
happens-
yellow?
Yeah, GIS is not perfect, so,
Okay.
but they have a survey, so
Okay.
it'll be
I just-
fine, yes.
So are they riding on that lot line then? Or are they coming off that lot line?
Well, just consider the yellow line, ignore the other darker yellow line. It's just GIS, it's somehow overlaps the property lines that way from the
How far
parcel.
back, setback are we going, or how far are we going up onto that lot line with?
Yeah,
the
so there's
6 foot?
a survey, if you give me a second.
I think they're going right to the lot line, correct?
Let me show you right here. So this survey gives you all those dimensions. No, I thought it did, but it doesn't give you the dimensions. But the survey was down to the property line, so they're going with the fence to the property line. And I would just suggest a foot away, just so in case it ever gets built sidewalk, so you stay away a foot from the sidewalk.
Repeat that last statement there, Salim, I'm sorry. You said a foot away for what?
In case they ever build a sidewalk on the property line, they're 1 foot away from the sidewalk.
Okay, so my only statement to that is in the previous, what this board has really kind of looked at is we usually do a little bit further setback for a sidewalk accommodation for future. Which not-
Yeah, we always
it's
do
not
1
there.
foot.
But if the board wants to make a consideration for that, it's a little further back. But other than that, that's my only
It's just some lots, they will never get sidewalks, but we don't know.
true, but we never know. Sorry, it's just future consideration.
I mean, there is no sidewalk today, and there's not any in the future, I don't think, going down there. But,
No, there's been lots of sidewalk waivers in that area.
has it been? Okay.
Yeah, there's,
Some of those older properties have been redeveloped in the past.
Okay, now I have waivers on them. Anybody else would like to?
I guess I'll have a comment. So I see like the 4-foot aluminum fence, which is supposed to be set back, correct, Salim, to the 40 feet?
Yes, correct.
I don't understand why that they want to go all the way to the property lines, except for to have a bigger yard.
I mean, that's part of it. We want to maximize our yard, because like, 25% of our yard is on the north side. So we lose that if we don't, don't fence that part in, we lose it as part of our fencing yard.
The red line, other than it extending all the way to our line, the red line is already compliant, it's compliant with setback to Sussex. It's just the top green line is what
Right.
we're primarily requesting, and that's to include our shed and maximize our fence area.
We do have ordinances in to keep double-sided lots back, so it's not going right to lot lines for that reason. Your neighbor didn't respond, but, there's a reason why we have ordinances keeping them on double corners back, so they're not looking like we're going right to maximize lot lines for that reason. And your backyard is 160 feet already? Is that what I saw? Did you
Yes.
get that in there?
And a lot of it, well, yes, it is. It's a square lot.
I have a question for the petitioner. In regard to the trees, have you had a fence company out to evaluate the installation as it relates to the trees?
So we have had a fence company out after we got our property survey, before the permit was denied. So they didn't speak to the integrity of the tree lines at all, or what, if there would be any trees in the way. And my intention wouldn't be to cut anything down. If anything, we pull the fence back so we don't have to deal with routing around trees or cutting down the trees entirely.
Because yes, I understand the shed being where it is located and wanting to encompass it. But there's a picture that we have, page 58. Can you pull it up?
Oh, sure. Are you looking for pictures?
You're almost there. That one?
Right here's the shed.
Right, and I'm just looking to that northern space, and it does look like there's a lot of mature trees there, so it's like, how are we gonna get the fence in with those trees?
The trees aren't as dense as we'd have to zigzag.
Okay.
There is a straight line.
Yeah, there kind of looks like that. That was just,
Yeah, no, there's definitely opportunity for to
Yeah, that
have a straight line.
These trees right here.
okay,
Because our proposal is for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay.
Salim, I do have a question for you. We don't have a full board today. 4 people, we need two yes, 2 no's as a,
Oh, I see.
You will
the surveys.
postpone, I would think?
is a lost case, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay. So I just need to let you guys know that there's only 4 board members today. Normally we have 5. And you would need 3 yes votes to, or you can postpone it till there's a full board here. Strictly your call. If it's 3-1, 4-0, it's good. If it's 2-2, it gets posted. It's not a postponement, it's a loss. We did offer it to the other people. I just want to make sure you guys are aware of it.
Well, we would like to.
Okay. Would you like to put a motion forward?
Gary, I could make a motion forward if you would, but with a possible caveat if you hear it. The only- I would agree to the petitioner's request. The only caveat I would ask is that they consider moving the north-facing fence line 3 foot from the property line inward or south, so not being 1 foot off the property line, but 3 foot off the property line or further in, and just for consideration for future on that north side. But that would be my only revision to the request. And I can move forward with that, but
Okay.
I don't know if that was a yes or no. But I can move a motion forward if you guys are ready for that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So, sorry, and moving, I got to get the address up here, sorry for apologies. So at the variance request for John and Laura Newman at 5970 Sussex, that we be granted, that it would not be contrary to public interest, that we move forward to approve this with the variance as requested, but with a 3 foot setback from the north property line on the property, but the rest of the perimeter or variance as requested be granted as written, and that there is no, that the variance does not adversely affect properties or immediate vicinity and proposed as proposed. So, can I get a second?
Hold on, could I ask you to revise that a little bit?
Yes, sir.
I mean, unless someone wants to second it real quick, but, I understand the shed is in there, is outside the fence if they get denied. Could you change it to be like 2 feet off of the shed, so that their shed is inside, the fence is further in, if the petitioners are happy with that? You know how right now you said 3 feet. The shed could be 10 feet, yes.
Yeah, I'm checking the drawing here. The 3 feet will not change anything on the shed. The shed will still be inside.
Right, well, I was just wondering getting it closer to the shed, because the shed is already out there.
The only problem I have with that, Gary, is that what Teresa brought up is, I'm a little concerned with, is the tree line. I think I'm giving them more leeway because they're a little bit more considerate of the fact of looking at the tree line, and they're more considerate of trying to look at moving the fence inward closer to the house, as long as they don't have to lose some of the mature tree line there. So I'm just looking at it as I think that they'll move it in without losing the shed or the tree line, and it may come closer to the shed. So
Okay.
that was my consideration in looking at what they were brought to the table.
Gary, I wanted to add something just from a technical point of view. I'm not trying to take the boat any way different, but I would suggest, this is a suggestion, that instead of just saying 3 feet, there could be like a variable, so that way they can move around if there's trees.
They can always, as long as you're,
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just going to say maybe from 3 to 5 or something like that, so that they will have more freedom to move the fence than just having a fixed point and landing on, let's say, footing lands on the road, so you will not be able to
No
proceed.
less than 3.
Can you?
No less than 3, okay.
No less than 3 feet.
No
All right,
less
so
than 3?
grant,
That's your choice. I just proposing from a technical point, if you give a buffer space, it's
All right.
better than a specific distance.
so to rewrite my proposal to the board, to grant the petitioner their request based on that the proposed motion be revised, that your request for the fence proposal be revised, that your setback from the north side is no less than 3 feet from the property line on the north property side of Arlington Way, and the rest of the property line as proposed could be met with the proposal that you put forward to be granted. I hope that meets everybody else's needs, so I will ask for a second on that.
I'll second.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Abathira.
Yes.
Was that a yes, Mr.?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Brooks,
Yes.
Mr. Deserman.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Motion set.
thank you.
And I think our next case is here. Is our next case here?
I don't know if are you for the party of 1682 Bear Oak Drive? Yes. Okay.
As you guys know, I have to recluse myself from this one, so Teresa will be handling the, sit right here, and just come get me whenever you're done.
I'm gonna sit where I'm sitting. I don't want to touch your stuff.
Just the gavel.
You're fine.
Kathy, just note that Teresa Brooks is chairperson and Gary has reclused himself. We are here to hear the variance request for Sashi. Can you just pronounce your last name for me for a moment?
Gowniwari, Gowniwari.
Thank you. And this is for 1682?
1682 Borough Drive, Troy.
Yes. Salim, will you read us the petition, please?
Sure. This property is an interior lot of the R1C zoning district for the City of Troy Code, Chapter 83, Fences, Section 2, Fence Construction in Residential Areas. Item A, it indicates that in residential areas, no fence shall be constructed to a height of more than 6 feet above the existing grade of the land. The petitioner is requesting a variance to install 280 feet of vinyl privacy fence at a height of 7 feet in the backyard, where city code limits the height to 6 feet per Chapter 83.
I want to let you know at this time that for a motion to pass, somebody please assist me. All of us would have to vote yes.
Correct. It's 75%. So.
Okay, so for your motion to pass today, we would have to have all of us vote yes. If any of us were to vote on a nay, then it would be a denied petition. If you would like, we can postpone until a board is full, and that is your decision. Would I have her make that decision now, or would we move forward with discussion?
I think you can make the decision now.
So all of us would have to vote yes after hearing the
Okay.
information.
But if we have to postpone, do we have a set date when the board will be at full staff?
Yes, the next board meeting is,
Yeah, next month. So
It's scheduled for next-
But we don't know yet if we're going to have a full quorum. That's a variable, so
So
It's up to you.
next month, maybe we'll have still 4 people, 4 members.
there is a chance that our other board member would be present. Again, Gary would always recluse himself from the motion. But if with 4, it would still take 3, but at least then there's one more person instead of relying on all 3 to have to vote one way.
So it's 75% vote, so it has to be 3 out of 4, correct? And-
yes, it still has to be 3, and that's per the standards of the Michigan Building Code, Chapter B.
Okay.
That's what we're going by.
And the probability of having the entire team, is it 6 board members or 5? Sorry, this is the
5.
first time coming here.
Well, I apologize,
I'm sorry.
got to be chair today. So there are 5 board members. And again, we're down to just
Curious.
due to the logistics, we're down to 4, but we still have to have that 75%.
Okay.
Yes, even with a full board, you end up with 4 anyway.
Okay. I understand. Then go
So
ahead.
your choice is to postpone, or we can continue with to hear the appeal?
We'll continue because I think we had a couple of months where I don't know when we will have the set to have more probability of more woods. I'm not sure, so we'll go ahead.
We're going to move forward?
Yes.
All right. Then I would like you to give us your information regarding your appeal, please.
We are requesting currently for a fence of 7 feet high for our child safety and security, and a privacy fence so that we can keep him within our boundaries and not going to any other property, because we are still training him on the learning the boundaries and keeping him within our property, not go elsewhere.
All right. Board,
Show some pictures
Okay.
of the area.
I'm sorry, I cut you off a little bit.
No, I'm so sorry. So you guys can see, this is the front of the property. And the area is still under construction. And so you can see here where the grass ends, that's where the fence line is about. There's a perspective to the sides. When I went to take the pictures, there wasn't any other fence at that time. This is the aerial. So the red lines where they're going to have their fence. So everything is on the side and backyard.
All right. I do have a question, Salim, for you. That the note on the Troy GIS, that right there says rejected applicant is not showing gates.
Yeah, what happens is on the original application that is submitted to the building department, normally we get the information and it didn't show any gates, but it doesn't make a difference. The code doesn't affect, it's not affected by the code in any way, but I still wanted to make the statement that it didn't show gates.
Very good. Comments or questions from the board?
I have a question for the petitioner. So it was stated that your desire to have the fence to provide protection for your children. Can you explain to me what protection from what and why 7 feet is better than 6 feet? What does the additional foot, what additional protection does that afford you?
So, he's a tall guy. We have a 11-year-old and he's almost my height today. And he's only 11. So we can take 6 feet for now, for sure, but at a later point, we again have to rebuild it. But if he grows like 6 feet tall, then, that's looking at a further picture, because we intend to stay in this house long enough. That's the reason we asked first. Because fence is again an extra expense that we're spending to, like I said, he's on an autism spectrum, nonverbal, very low functioning, and we're still training him on the boundaries, but because there is so much of construction still going on, we don't want him to go into other properties, and just keep him in our property and safe.
I have a question for the petitioner. Eventually, your son or whatever may find ways to climb this fence at this point, if what you're explaining, but wouldn't something like a 4-foot wrought iron fence or like aluminum stake fence that has some sort of deterrent on the top? I say that as a deterrent, but like it has points on the top. I mean, that's kind of deters people from climbing that type of fence. Wouldn't that be something that would be more susceptible for somebody of a child or something to deter them from climbing a fence of something like that, if that's what you're concerned about? And
Yeah, I don't want him to climb on a fence and then get hurt. I don't want to take that chances. That's why we're requesting a plain fence where there is no scope of that.
so, because my only concern and what Mr. Miller brought up too is that, I mean, if your son grows to be 7 foot tall, are you going to, I mean, what happens? Do we keep on going up with the fence or?
No, I think nobody will be,
I just
I
am-
don't think he'll be more than 6 foot. I mean, this is best case scenario, right? I mean, so we don't know how tall he's going to be, for
Right.
sure. So this is our best guess to take, have it something with a future in our minds, right? We are planning for the future as well, not just looking for today, but this is probably we just built this house last year. So we intend to stay longer. So this is a plan for as far as we live there. So I don't know how tall he's going to be. We are just requesting with the future in our mind.
Salim, at this time, do we have any public comment regarding
Yes,
this?
there is multiple public comment on the packet.
So we do have a set of public comment that has been distributed to the board. Has the board had an opportunity to review that packet?
Yes.
Okay.
I also wanted to make a comment that I did receive calls from the public comment people, and a lot of them express about the bylaws, and I informed them that we don't enforce the bylaws.
Does the board have any comments or discussion?
You just
Yes.
to clarify with Salim, so some residents have come forward and said the bylaws do not permit fencing?
Correct. And I explained to them that the city does not enforce bylaws.
Yes, it's extremely stormy outside, which is.
Is it? I was seeing the lights blink. I'm sorry.
I'm
Was it you and me?
We do have a generator here, so
Okay.
Okay.
this room probably is totally on the generator.
I have another
I
question.
apologize, I've been slightly looking outside this time.
Salim, so I have another question about, for the petitioners. So what is the variance that they're looking for? That is it just because of the 7-foot request? Or is it more of the, because I'm seeing your lines here, right?
Yeah, so by right, they can have a 6 foot. All they're asking is for an extra foot.
So if they were going for the 6 foot,
We find it can
they
be by right.
wouldn't be here
Correct.
Obscuring fence is permitted.
Correct. Obscuring 6 foot.
under the code.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question for the petitioner.
I
Sorry.
guess we're going to test the theory.
Yes.
Theories.
Electricity went out there, but not there. So let me regather my thoughts. Are you aware of the subdivision restrictions, and have you considered that in your decision-making? Because although we do not, being the city, enforce those subdivision restrictions, if you go forward, and even if you get the permit, build a 6 foot, and it's not permitted by the subdivision restrictions, you could get yourself into a sticky legal situation. Are you prepared for that?
I'm not aware of this.
Okay. So, Salim, are you actually aware of the fact that there is a subdivision restriction? Because I only have heard it from other people. I haven't verified it.
So people called saying that the bylaws require 4 feet, but I don't have the bylaws because I am not the person that should be checking that.
Right.
So I just informed them that they should check with their association. And all I can say is that we do not enforce that part of their restrictions.
So based on the hearsay, it sounds like the bylaws may state 4 feet. Troy ordinance would allow 6 feet. So they're still in conflict or a potential conflict. And I agree, the bylaws are something that is something that this board is not here to
It would
rule on.
become a civil matter at that point.
Right. But just to clarify that even, it sounds like there's potential difference between 4 and 6 feet.
Right. Well, and the point I'm trying to make is that, one, is the petitioner aware of this? And even if we grant it, even if we did grant, one, the permit or the variance, you could still go and get in, buy it, install it, and then get into a legal fight with your subdivision association.
So, I'm saying the decision rights are with someone else, or
Well,
who
what,
holds the decision?
so Celine, what we could do, let's just say, if we postpone this, let's just say we did, we could easily help you find the subdivision regulations and get you a copy of that. And we won't interpret it for you or anything, but we can help you get it, and then you can look at it. You can hire, if you so desire, legal counsel before you make the decision, because I don't want you to say, oh, the city gave you a permit, I can go ahead, when there really could be subdivision restrictions. The way modern subdivisions are created, there's a ton of restrictions. Like where I live, you're not allowed to use aluminum siding, as an example. You're not allowed to have any fences in the neighborhood I live in unless you have a pool. So what I'm saying is that it is very common for modern subdivisions, well, this is probably a site condo, I apologize, but which is even stronger, condominium rules, that could restrict what you can do with your property, because when you bought the property, you basically agreed to it, even though you may not have known about it. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to accomplish is that you become a fully informed resident and petitioner, because just because if the city gives you a fence permit, you still could get into legal trouble with your condominium.
So can they override your decision?
Yes, they can, because it's a condition, it's a restriction placed on the property when the property was created, which the owner, who has the full bundle of rights at that time, has the ability to take some of those rights and set them aside and limit it. And you agree to it when you buy it. Now, I'll readily admit, you probably didn't read the the condominium bylaws. But I would not, I'm sure there's something in there. Probably says you can't keep your garage door open all day too. I'm not exaggerating. Probably says you have to put away your holiday decorations by a certain date. They put rules into them. I'm just trying to, if you can believe it, I am looking out for your best interest, because I would hate for you to get into other legal problems.
So is it fair enough to say that the decision rights for this fence are with the subdivision?
Sitting here, we don't know exactly a fact. But what I'm saying is, it's easy enough to utilize limited resources to ask. We have a real estate expert in our real estate office. She could get the digital copies of the condominium regs that are filed with the Register of Deeds, and we can get that for you, and you can review them, and then make your decision what you want to do. Because I would hate for you to get into a legal fight with your condominium association.
Right now, there is no association. My builder still holds the association.
So what you're saying then is whatever LLC Mr. Abathura created still has over 50% ownership, probably. So what generally happens is that when the owner, when the developer who created the property and the condominium, when it's 51, when I say that he has only 49% ownership, then the ownership and control goes to the condominium association.
He has not yet transferred.
Right, okay.
I'd like to make a comment. and
Yes, Mark?
Everything you're saying is absolutely, but another thing is too, is she has an absolute right to build a 6-foot fence under the code.
Right.
without us making any vote. Just so you know that. You're asking for a 7-foot fence. That's above and beyond the code. That's what you're here to
City
let us
code.
vote on.
What the
Correct.
city
If it is
ordinance
for
would
6 foot, would I get approval?
You, am I right by saying that?
Yeah, so what happens is that you can come tomorrow and get a permit for the 6-foot. And like I was saying, we don't enforce the bylaws. We can give you the building permit, but that doesn't really help you if you have a conflict with the association. The association can still take action, but that's not us. We have
Yeah.
nothing to do with that, or we don't get involved at all with that.
See, the association can't come back to us because it's part of the city ordinance and code. So what we're saying is that you're asking us for a 7-foot fence, which is above and beyond the code. That's why you're here today. But if you were to say, I want to put a 6-foot fence in, you don't need to ask us to vote on that. You can come back and apply for that tomorrow. Does that make sense?
There was the public opinion or public comments were for the negative or not supporting the fence. And so it seems prudent to just review those bylaws. When there's opposition in the neighborhood, it can lead to continued opposition. And so maybe working through those bylaws and understanding them more may assist. Again, we can continue to discuss, we can go to a motion. We could also opt to postpone in light of the additional information that's been discussed.
Yeah. I would like to get a copy of that to review, and then probably we can.
So we would postpone until the next
Yeah.
board meeting?
And I will follow up on the bylaws.
I'll make a motion that we postpone the item and help provide the petitioner a copy of the condominium bylaws for the condominium.
I'll second that motion.
Can I revise it and say we meet at the next meeting? Also add that to it, if you mind?
I'll second that, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have to take a vote, please?
Mr. Miller, just clarification, you asked that it be postponed to the next September meeting?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Miller?
yes.
Mr. Abathera? Oh, no. Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Jezerman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
So Salim, Larissa should be able to grab that for you easily enough.
Thank you.
You want to get Gary?
Oh,
I fell asleep.
Gary out there. Who wants to, can't get done with the meeting and go outside right now?
Anybody bring their own ball?
Of course, mine's in my car.
I can finish up,
Go ahead.
or you can finish up.
Go ahead.
I will continue as chair. Kathy, do we have any communications?
I would refer to Mr. Salim, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
any communications?
No, at the present moment, we don't have any communication.
Any public comments?
Nope, not other
Following
than that.
the
what we-
agenda as best I can. Any miscellaneous business?
Not with me, if anybody has miscellaneous.
Nope.
And that would then conclude our meeting. We will adjourn. Done.
So Gary, we